So you'll hear atheists always say this. They'll say, yeah, we don't live by faith. We live by evidence, or something along those lines. But the definition of faith that is given by the majority of atheists is not even the way that a Christian is using that term. The word faith does not mean blindly accept whatever is presented. It talks about to prove all things, hold fast to that which is good. The whole New Testament was evidence, not blind faith, but evidence that Jesus literally rose from the dead because of eyewitness testimony. Not just one or two eyewitnesses, but multiple eyewitness testimony. This is the same standard we use in a court of law, and they also say eyewitness testimony is stronger evidence than circumstantial evidence. And so you have to understand that this is where we get our Western civilization ideas of justice and the court and the judicial system and how we are to judge cases. Eyewitness testimony is the strongest testimony. And when you hear an atheist say over and over again that they don't live by blind faith, it's like, yes, they do. They quote every other book except the Bible to prove that. And those atheists who are committed to that presupposition that God does not exist is quoting people that supposedly done science experiments, has seen the evidence, and yet they're arguing as if they already have evidence because they were told the other person had evidence. It's the same thing the Christian is doing. They are quoting evidence from eyewitnesses. The atheist has to quote scientists who have their own presuppositions as well. You're going to hear them. They'll never quote Christians who are scientists, never, ever, because they already have a presupposition that God does not exist. And so once you start challenging what they mean by evidence, say, oh, you read the Bible and you take it as true. Well, hey, you read Richard Dawkins' book and you take that as true. And so we're both doing the same thing. But they have slogans and a lot of things they say just to make it sound like they don't need to prove anything. And that's the problem. They feel like they don't need to prove anything. I could show them evidence. They say, that's not evidence. And then they show me evidence. And I say, actually, that proves my point, right? So this is a presuppositional question. If God exists, then the interpretation of certain scientific evidence should be interpreted this way. If God does not exist, then that evidence should be interpreted a different way. But that's the assumption we all are making. Does God exist? Does God exist make meaning in the universe more probable? Yes. If God exists, does the beginning of the universe and all the scientific evidence towards the Big Bang make it seem even more probable that God does exist? Because the design of the universe, the order of the universe, the moral law that is impressed upon our hearts, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which is more probable? The evidence points to, like many Christians have been saying forever, that God does exist and he has revealed himself in the person of Jesus Christ.